What is going on, you guys? Scott here. Okay, so I got tagged in a video by Signal Outdoors. And guys, I'm going to put a link in the description below. If you don't know the channel, Signal Outdoors, go check him out. Awesome channel. He's way better at DIY stoves and stuff like that than I am. And that's, to me, really cool stuff. So thank you, Signal Outdoors. And what he tagged me in is a video for my top 5 tips for beginner backpackers. Tip number 1 is going to be dream, but no. All right, dream big, but no. What I mean by that is if you're new to backpacking, one of the best parts of any adventure that you're going on or any new thing that you're doing is all the dreaming and imagining and all that time you spend thinking about how awesome it's going to be. So do that. Spend your time doing that because it's great. I still do. But also know that reality can many times be grittier and rougher than the way we dream it in our heads, okay? When I first started getting into it, I wasn't dreaming about blisters or chafing and near, not exhaustion. What am I trying to say? Dehydration, running out of water. There's all these things that come into play that you really don't think about, but they're part of the picture. So know that it's going to take a little time for your body to get used to it. You're using muscles that you just can't use in any other way. There's no way, unless you have a heavy pack on rough terrain, to use some of these hip flexors and some of these muscles the way you're going to when you get out there. It's going to hurt. So number 1, dream big, but no, reality is going to be different. Just push through it. The reward is actually bigger than how I dreamt it, just so you know. Tip number 2 for beginning out with backpacking is going to be buy cheap at first, right? There's no need to put a lot of cash and a bunch of money into gear until you've been out there and you've tried some different stuff out, okay? And in fact, let me jump back to my shop real quick, and I'm going to show you 2 pieces of gear when I first started out I bought at Goodwill used. When I first started looking around for gear, guys, when I was getting into backpacking as an adult, I didn't have tons of disposable income just to toss at that hobby until I knew I really wanted to get into it. So I started looking around at Goodwills, garage sales, all kinds of places. Let me show you here. This, let me grab it. This is a set of REI pants, guys, that I picked up at Goodwill. And these are probably an older model. They have the zips on them so that you can make them into shorts. And for me, have worked really well. You might even see them in my videos every so often. But I got these at Goodwill for $8 for a pair of nice REI pants, right? So just one. Throw that out of here. Number 2. Look at this. All right, so number 2, guys, I got this at Goodwill as well. And it is a Moose Creek. And it is a goose down. Yeah. Well, it's 50% goose down, 50% feather puffy coat. Right? So it's a nice puffy coat. It actually stuffs into the pocket. I got that for $12, okay? So a goose down puffy coat from Goodwill for $12. Just an example of some things you can grab for not too much cash. So you can see used gear at Goodwill is an option. I've bought stuff at garage sales, things like that. There's websites with used gear trades, as well as budget gear that doesn't suck, right? I have a lot of videos on gear that doesn't cost you a ton of cash, but it's gonna work out here safely and comfortably in the woods. So don't spend a ton of cash until you've actually used gear, in my opinion. Do whatever you want, but my suggestion is actually use some stuff. Get out there, see what it feels like before you put all that money into the real piece you want. Tip number 3, you guys, is gonna be research your fears. Okay, there's a lot of things that I was scared about, and let's be honest, it can be dangerous out in the woods. There's danger out here. People sometimes don't come back, right? So you need to be cognizant of that, but also research your fears so that you're being accurate with them. Sometimes the stuff we're scared about out here is not the stuff that actually is dangerous or the most dangerous. In fact, what I'll do is I'm gonna jump back to my office and I'm gonna show you a few examples of research I did that helped me when I first started camping. Fear, guys, is something I had to deal with myself quite a bit when I first started camping, especially when I started backpacking solo. And, camping by myself in the middle of an unfamiliar forest is probably as close to the fear that I could get like as a small child in a scary place that you didn't know, when you'd have to sleep maybe all alone. And maybe you never felt that, but for me, it was like, that's a familiar feeling out here. And I'm an adult now. I hadn't felt that in a long time. So what I found helps, for me at least, guys, was researching the actual danger out there, okay? And 2 things I'll show you are, For me, predator danger, right? So mountain lions and bears. Those are two things here in North America we have and we have to deal with in my state, which is Colorado. And I didn't know the whole details, right? And at that time, when I first started camping, I was actually in California, which mountain lions there, even for different reasons, right? We won't get into, but there's a lot of mountain lions in California. So let me show you a few things I did, right? And I researched real quick. This is a list of all fatal cougar attacks in North America. When we say cougars, guys, that is a mountain lion, right? So fatal cougar attacks, also known as mountain lion, puma, mountain cat, catamount, or panther. All right. Also Florida panther. So how about big cat, big mountain lion that could be a danger in certain scenarios? Now, guys, when we look at this stats here. This is one thing that blew me away the first time I looked it up. Mountain lions were my bigger fear than bears, okay? Because here we only really have black bears. Grizzlies are starting to make their way into Colorado, depending on who you ask, right? But mountain lions for me were scary, and it seemed like something I should be worried about. But look at this. So a total of 125 attacks, 27 fatalities have been documented in North America, which is Canada, US, right? Both. And that's for the last 100 years. So over the last 100 years, there have been 27 deaths by mountain lions in Canada and the US combined. The other thing, guys, I was worried about is bears. Okay, we have black bears in Colorado, so I'm not going to get into grizzlies and brown bears, but black bears is something that I was concerned about. Let's dive in real quick. If you see here, over the last 20 years, black bears have killed 25 people in North America. So a little over one per year, one person per year dies, okay? Now, if you look historically, back since 1900, there are 61 people who have been recorded as being killed by black bears. So again, these numbers were a lot lower than I thought. However, the black bear dangers one, I also didn't understand. When a black bear attacks a human, it will oftentimes be for predatory reasons, okay? They are looking in a predatory manner at that human and going after them. Many times adult males that are solo out by themselves, okay? Brown bears or grizzlies are very defensive in nature, especially around young cubs, things like that. But black bears, I didn't realize, look at humans in a predatory nature sometimes. So it's good to know, right? You got to know that, because if you're in a scenario where you think you might spook them off and they're not acting right, get out whatever protection you have at that point. Let's take care of it. So guys, like I say, mountain lions were something that scared me. Bears were something that scared me. When I actually looked into the numbers, I started realizing, okay, maybe I need to start worrying about falling, right? Falling's the big one out there, right? Or snakes, right? If you're at low elevation, snakes are present. So maybe that could be a danger. Or dehydration, getting lost, all these other things that really probably are more dangerous to you than this. Tip number 4 is poopin' ain't no thing, guys. I'm gonna tell you right now, I used to, in fact, let me step back. My family, if you asked them, and this isn't an appropriate question, but if you asked them about my number 2 habits, one thing they'd probably tell you, I might have said a time or two, is I'm not a public pooper. Not a big fan of it, right? So in the woods, it took me a little while to get used to going to the bathroom and not being bothered by it. And it's really not a big deal, guys. So backpacking with Jason, I think, is the first probably video I've seen actually covering this. I'll link that in my description as well. He's got a good video going through all the different methods you can use to go to the bathroom. But guys, don't do what I did, right? Don't go 2 or 3 days trying to hold everything till you get to a trailhead, hoping there's a pit toilet, and just being uncomfortable and not able to enjoy this, right? There's no need for that. Get used to it. Pooping ain't no thing. Tip number 5, you guys, is going to be plan and protect. I've got my pack on, so I can show you some of the measures I take when I'm out in the woods to protect myself from predators, possibly other humans, right? But also plan and protect. So what I mean by that is, when you are now ready, you've got everything together, you've got your gear, you've built the dream, you've done research, you know the facts. It's time to get out there and camp, right? But you've got to protect yourself against a few things. And the first way to do this is by planning, okay? So have a plan in place for your trip and what you're going to be doing, where you're going to park, where you're going to go, what you expect to do, right? And then you try, when you go out there, to hold to that plan as best you can. Doesn't always happen that way, right? There's all kinds of things that can come up and you might have to do something different. But when you have a plan in place, the next part of that is give that plan, share it with somebody who's not camping with you.
So when I come out here, my wife always gets a text with where I'm parking, where I'm hiking, where I expect to camp, where I might camp, has all that, right? So if I don't come home, my Garmin, which I've lost, I don't know where the damn thing is, but if my Garmin ain't dinging, she can tell SARS, right? Search and rescue, hey guys, here's where to start. And I'm telling you, there have been so many missing hikers this year, 2020 or last year in 2020. You know, the outdoors is exploding. There's a lot of love for getting out here and experiencing this stuff. But the missing hikers that I saw, there was a ton of them this year. In fact, in Colorado, guys, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think we've lost 6 or 7 people maybe to avalanches, backcountry accidents, slips and falls on high stuff where they don't have the right gear. So you got to make sure you plan, you have the right stuff, and you let people know. 2, protect. And what I mean by that is when I'm out here and I'm hiking around, you'll see in my videos, I almost always have a can of bear spray. This is something I've never even fired off in my life. I've owned a couple cans. This one, in fact, just expired 2 months ago. I'm still carrying it around. I need to get a new one. And I should probably do a video shooting this because I've never actually shot it. I think that's probably a good thing to be comfortable with. But guys, this, look, when you're putting all that gear together, all of a sudden, bam, 40 bucks for a can of bear spray. You know, it's almost like a hurdle. Maybe I can skip it. But man, I would have something with you. I've had 3 experiences with actual predators in the forest. 2 when I was by myself, once with my brother Chris. And you want to have some way of protecting yourself and trying to end that scenario. So bear spray, some sort of protection. Also, guys, other than bear spray, I sometimes will carry a sidearm with me, right? This actually just straps on to my pack. And I don't carry a gun around all the time in the woods. If I'm doing like a through hike trail, if I'm on the Colorado Trail or something, there's no need to have a big gun strapped on open carry and scaring folks, right? When I am in places that are very secluded, when I'm way out there, especially by myself, I like to have something that I know will help me end a situation or a scenario if needed, right? With predators or something that just got out of hand. So I've got a little 44 Magnum. This is a revolver. It's a little 5-shot revolver, so a little smaller than most, but it's a trail gun. It's designed as a trail gun and as something you carry in the woods. Even in Alaska, you could use this for grizzlies if you needed to, but that's the idea behind it. So guys, tip number 5, plan, but protect, right? Signal Outdoors, thanks again for the tag. I appreciate it. Everybody else, I appreciate you watching. If you have questions about backpacking, you're a beginner or whoever, send me a note. I'll get back to you. Guys, stay safe out there. Bye.
I'm just stuck here in a dream.